All right, everyone, to the mics on both sides. Raise your hand for your questions, please. Go ahead, fire away.
Lance, you talked about
Switch seats today.
yeah, tendency breaker, that kind of thing.
Yeah, just like me, see?
Exactly. You talked about experimenting with the offensive line, moving some different parts around. How do you feel like that's gone now that you're
It wasn't like major. You know, Bryce Cable, who's worked all week at left tackle. And just try to get a better feel on that. James Livingston's played some inside. You know, Amir Herring's playing some center and has been. So those are some. I think it's been pretty good. You know, I haven't really sat down with Daryl to get the next step from here where we want to go. I want to give that a little time as we got a little time to play with here. So.
How close do you feel like you guys are to nailing down a first five and the next three? And is there a point in time when you want to have that where those groups
I haven't
get down
put a
together?
deadline on that right now. And again, the way we try to practice, you know, it gives everybody a lot of opportunities. I think, you know, we have a chance to rotate some guys. Even Trent Carter, our trainer, said to me today, you know, boy, it really seems like we've got a little more depth this year to go a little deeper into that second unit if we have to with guys who have played, you know. And you know, Kelvin Clements was a guy that was hurt in the spring and missed a lot of the summer, getting him back going. But you know, there's a guy who got to start late in the season, and so you have that to kind of bank on. Logan Brown's experience before he got here. Of course, he got hurt early. And then Nolan Gorsuch is a guy that just, you know, is really, like I said earlier, was probably one of our most improved players, and especially up front. So we got some things there, and then the newcomers are getting more acclimated, whether it be the guys that came in January or Bryce Foster and Amir that have just arrived. So that's all very encouraging.
Overall, how do you feel like the health of the team is at this point in camp? You guys have had some full padded practices.
You know, you talk about injuries, you kind of can jinx yourself sometimes. But all in all, I've been pleased. But I always tell you I'm not superstitious, so I need to make sure I answer that right. For this part of camp, and you know, obviously we're out there today, and at least early onset, I think we came out of it pretty well again. Out of the normal stuff that you kind of get, and guys get held here and there, we're in a pretty good spot for, you know, this was our second long scrimmage, but we've had a couple other live periods in practice. So for as much live as we've gone, this thing is pretty good.
I think Melo's talked about growing as a leader, kind of using his voice more. What have you seen over the last few years, and especially lately, in that end?
Well, first of all, you know, it's like a lot of guys. Travis Goff said it to me the other day because he was out at practice and he was out of town, and trying to see some of these guys, and he kind of sent me a text about reflecting back when they first arrived and who they were, and that's natural, and that's what you hope. In the bigger picture, which we don't talk enough about, is, you know, becoming young men and degrees and stuff like that. To watch him kind of grow as a young man off the field, in confidence and trusting, and then taking his experiences and you know, many times and I'd say just because of how things just were played out here in the past and lack of success, I think a lot of guys operated as individuals, and I got to take care of myself, give myself a chance and do that, because it may not happen on the field. And I think that's all kind of come together to them. I think Matt Gildersleeve, as well as Melo's 3 position coaches in his time here, it's one of them that still has gone through a few, have all impacted him in some way, not just as a player, but as a person.
Building off of that, how valuable is it to have, you know, with Melo and Kobe, the years that they could have an analyst like Brandon Shelby with as much experience as he has?
Oh, you know, and with the new rule, it helps us a lot, because it's helped Brian Borland, first of all, be a little bit more involved in observing the front 7. You know, Brandon's experiences at Indiana in the Big Ten, and there's a guy that really, you know, went through a couple of coaching changes there, but you know, he's a guy that's been very stable at a place, so that kind of, but it helps from his experiences, of course, and you know, really admire him because, again, I've said, we interviewed him for the job, and sometimes, you have to make a decision, and he still wanted to be part of us. It means a lot, and he and DK have worked well together, as well as with Brian, and both are extremely professional in how they go about it. So you get more experience and more player contact now in this new way of being able to do it, because it's not just a guy who's watching film and kind of passing information on to the position coach. They can interact. Like yesterday afternoon, DK had Brandon take the position meeting for that time, and so he gets a voice and he gets to be in front of the guys and pass on knowledge and things. And also, guys all want to have a chance to whether it be here or somewhere else, get back to being the guy fully in charge of something. And I think that's part of my responsibility, is to help those guys reach their goals as well. We'll help them, but hopefully we keep him around for a while.
Lance, what are you seeing so far in the punt and kick return game?
Yeah, those are always hard to emulate. We haven't done a lot of fulls, John, to be honest with you, of getting that. I'd like to think we have enough experience with, between Luke and OJ and Trevor in the punt. Trevor's ability as a return man. Quentin Skinner was back there again. We'll get a little deeper into that as we go. Most of it's just been fundamental work right now and stuff like that, especially in the kick return game.
What have you seen from the linebacker group?
I thought, today was maybe a little tougher day for the defense in the live situations than in the past. But Dylan Downing had a pick six, and I thought Cornell Wheeler showed up pretty well. I think JB continues to be fairly consistent. We had some gap issues at times. Tristan Fletcher's been probably one of the other surprises of camp. Fletch has always had a great attitude, works hard, and I think he's put himself in a really good position, not to be a solid backup at linebacker, but also a guy that we got to make sure he's on a lot of teams as well. And then Alex Wright continues to show that he'll have opportunities this year. Jason Gilliam as well.
AP poll just came out. You guys are at number 22. I realize that may not mean anything, but just the difference between handling sort of heading into a season where you guys are getting more accolades, more attention, more outside stuff than when you got here.
Yeah, it doesn't mean much, especially if we get close to kicking off, but I also have to make sure that it does mean something for this program, considering where we're at, what it's been, and we need to make sure that, we're taking strides, from last year, and then enough this year that people are recognizing this program and recognizes the talent on this team and some of the things that we've been able to do. So that is positive, because whether it be recruiting, whether it be our fan base, whatever the case may be, we've got to take these type of things and take them for what they're worth, but also at face value that it doesn't win you anything. But again, hopefully, like Manny said, people are going to get behind this program.
And then the defensive end group, what have you seen from those guys? And is there a point at any point in the preseason where you look at maybe some of the younger guys, even for just a rotational spot, and say, hey, this guy may not help us every down, but he may be able to help us in certain situations?
I kind of think I know where you're trying to get at here, okay? So, yeah, those young guys are going to get opportunities. Now, whether or not, where it's going to be yet for them, they continue to progress. I really like what Dean Miller's done. I mean, a guy that's kind of put it together a little bit more, and we use the GPS units, and his numbers are usually at the top, between acceleration, deacceleration, yardage, all that work. Kids playing hard, he's getting better. Job is getting healthier and trying to get him more reps. Dak and DJ continue to get better and understand what they're going to do, and continue to work them on special teams as well and see where it shakes out rotation. So again, we're not quite at that point. I'm probably not gonna get overly hard, because there's gonna be good days and bad days. But if you're trying to ask if those freshmen could play some this year, that's a high possibility.
You guys signed Frankie with team impact. Can you talk about what having him around means and just the overall?
Yeah, when you get a chance to do those things in team impact is a really special group. When for us to be able to have moments with Frankie and his family, and Daryl Stuckey's done a really nice job kind of liaison with that, and to see what that does for a family. Like his parents said, a lot of times young people like that with people with special needs, it's a lot of one-on-one stuff that they do, and they don't get a chance to be around groups of people a lot. So when they have a chance, but also when he comes in and he signs his letter with us and stuff, you have 120 young men. I think they get a chance to take a deep breath and maybe be thankful for what they have and what they can use their abilities for, whether it be athletic abilities on the field or other abilities in public and in the community off the field to make impacts.
Luke said yesterday that there's this gut check period you guys do and 12 to 18 plays, you know what it is. He said last year guys are gasping at the end of that. He said the whole offense is kind of like, we could go a few more if we need to. I wonder what you credit that to. Is that just simply conditioning, or is that something that clicks inside of the heads of these veterans that you have so many of, or where does that come from?
Well, first of all, we had it scheduled for today, and I cut the practice short. So, because humidity was there, we'd gotten a lot of plays and stuff. But I'm glad they have that kind of confidence from last year when we kind of sprung it on them. A lot of things. I think the veteran part of the team of understanding their understanding and grasping the values of nutrition, sleep. Prehab stuff when they come in the morning, staying afterwards, and some of the things we've been able to add to this building that allows their bodies to take care. And what we try to tell them is be a pro. If you want to be a pro, you got to start acting like a pro, and you got to take care of yourself. And I think the maturity of this older group kind of helps with that. I think as we continue to look at, though many things may look the same in practice formats or other things, we continually tweak what we do in the summer and practice-wise, and minutes and allocation of reps. But I think Matt has done a good job again this summer, and we also changed a little bit of our July workout. We did 3 days when the coaches came back in of a mini camp type setup with them, with some meetings and team tech, as we call them, and some conditioning. And the gap between their last workout and reporting wasn't as large as it was last year. We think that affected us early in camp. So we've kind of taken all these things. I think they all play a little part, and well, as I was saying, we'll always continue to improve it.
We're talking to Cole Petras here in a minute. I know you've mentioned his positive contributions before. Just what exactly does he bring to that position group?
Well, unselfishness, a relentless work ethic, a guy that understands, sometimes being a walk-on can be tough and keep working hard. But again, he played the second most special team snaps last year for us. He's well respected in the program. He's one of our off-season leaders and captains, and that doesn't happen a lot with walk-ons. But it also shows, again, if you have those type attributes, that you're going to be recognized and utilized in this program. And he's a young man that's going to be highly successful, whether it be with football or without. But again, what he does and what he brings each and every day, though sometimes may not be noticed by people outside the program, are definitely noticed inside.
What kind of role do you think Sevion could have in this offense this year?
Well, Sevion's a guy that we've said before, and he knows this. He's got to stay healthy. That's been his the trouble for him. He's been in the kick return game. You guys were asking about return game. He'll be a guy in there. He's got above average hands. I think we utilized him in motion. We can line him up different spots. You know, Jeff continues to carry on what we're doing in personnel groupings. There can be times where we'll have 2 running backs on the field. So we can utilize a lot of different things. He's got good speed and quickness, and he's going to be needed. There's no doubt that during some course of the year he's going to have a big chance, and like he knows, you know, being healthy is going to be number one. But I'm excited for him because he's a good young man, and at that position, as we know, guys can be really impatient. It gets frustrating because you have confidence in your talents, and when you got the couple guys that are ahead of them and as talented as they are, it takes a balance of staying competitive, staying ready, but understanding that you know, reps might be few sometimes, and also when you get in the game, you can't try to make everyone a home run. You know, you still got to stay within yourself and within the design of what we're doing in those moments too.
Lance, when you first got here, it was very obvious. Guys like Rich Miller and Mike Nowitzki, guys you knew, had been with, you know, leaned on a little bit more to kind of implement everything you're about, your culture, all that stuff. You talked about it a ton in the last few years. I wonder, it doesn't mean a whole lot, but I wonder what it's like without them around.
There's
For you
things
personally.
Well, yeah, you miss those guys. You know, I last week, and we're in the first week, it was like one of those because, you know, even though, well, Mike didn't go through the last spring with us, but even when you get into fall camp, there's just sometimes with transition in the drills, you always had those 2 guys on each side that could help get it going, you know, sometimes, because we're big in the, you know, transitioning and moving, and you know, there was a time I'm like, you know, we're rotating Shane and Bryce is new at the center spot, and we're like, and Daryl knows because he worked with Mike at Buffalo as well, you know, and I go, you know, yeah, we kind of miss Dirk a little bit, you know, we miss that guy that kind of can corral it and get it going. Same thing with Rich and making some things right, but I don't want to take away because that's part of it, you know, those are some of the guys, but we're also in such a better spot with where these seniors are at. Those guys have left an impact of leadership and expectations, and that torch has been passed, and you know, and I think we got guys that are going to do that for us as well. But yeah, I think, you know, I can say the same thing without, you know, Kenny's not around or Mason's not around.
Right.
There's a little bit of that, some of those guys, but you know. Now, we'll stand here a year from now with 30 guys in the league, and we'll be standing here going like, holy cow,
Who are these guys?
I'll need this roster. So,
Anything else for Coach?
thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Realize I was gonna have to